Hello and welcome to Freedom Gulch podcast. This is our 14th episode. Today we'll be talking about Daryl Perry's writing campaign. We'll be going around to our limited contributors and ask them who's their favorite foreign leader. Victory for the LP and the secret contract. The VP debate with Pence and Kaine. The much anticipated debate, the presidential debate this past Sunday with Trump and Hillary. New Mexico College Republicans endorsing Gary Johnson, UVA rescinding endorsement for Trump. The news that came out, or the report that Bill Weld might give up only to target Trump. Evan McMullen's names Mindy Finn, whoever that is, for vice president. And of course, the Trump tapes. So let's go ahead and get into this. So Daryl Perry, he ran for the LP nomination, receive it. Now he is running a writing campaign. So what's the point of this? Is it beneficial for the Libertarian Party, the Libertarian movement? And will he get more than, 100 votes?
More than what? I mean, more than one?
Yeah, no, more than 100 votes. Who's going to really vote for him?
I think it's only possible in 17 states, I want to say. But it's a writing campaign. I mean, come on. There was all sorts of back and forth and people getting upset, usually in the Radical Caucus group, and there was always a handful that said, we got to do something. We got to do something. And apparently, Daryl pulled the trigger. He was in libertarian social media feeds for about a week after doing this. Oh, look who it is!
Yo!
Oh, we got an unexpected guest. Hello, Corey.
Oh my goodness! I'm so happy to be here.
All right, well, we just opened up. We're talking about Daryl Perry's writing campaign right now.
Did you know that he's running for president, Corey?
No, I didn't know that. People that work 20-hour days rarely get to catch up on some stuff. So I did not know he was running. But I did see a Gary Johnson, Bill Weld billboard on Broad Street today. I was quite excited.
Really, a billboard?
It was it was an electronic billboard at that. I was like, wow.
Nice. All right, so let's get back. Daryl Perry, Corey, as you know, he ran for the LP. He lost. He's running for a writing campaign now because I guess Gary Johnson's not libertarian enough for him and many radicals. And so Andy was just talking about it. What do you think about that? Daryl Perry running a writing campaign.
I think I see both sides of the fence. The radical liberty by him and
oh dear.
It sounds like we're having a little connection issue, Corey.
Okay, I was going to ask if that was me.
Yeah. What are your feelings, Joshua?
Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. I don't see really what that'll accomplish at the end of the day. Number one, because I know, for example, here in Virginia, the Constitution Party candidate is not on the ballot, and some people are planning on writing him in. And I don't know. I mean, I've written in before, but of course that's oftentimes when we only have one choice on the ballot or something like that. So I don't know. I don't really see what he's going to accomplish. I don't expect him to garner many votes or much attention. So, yeah, what's the point? Is it just I understand why some people are upset with Gary Johnson and Bill Weld. And, there are reasons to be upset about that. But I don't really feel like this avenue of attack will really result in anything.
Yeah, I don't really see. I mean, he's free to do whatever he wants, obviously, like you said. But what is it going to accomplish at the end of the day? It's not. Gary Johnson's not my perfect candidate. at all, but he's leaps and bounds better than Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, being part of the political process is a compromise to begin with. If you're a radical libertarian or an anarchist, you know, it's already a compromise to be part of a political party in the process. So, you know, you're going to have to compromise. You're going to have to do that. It's unfortunate. You know, I love to have the message be pure and whatnot, but Daryl Perry really is not the best messenger. I don't believe he's not very well polished speaker. He's not, you know, he's not the person, the face of, you know, that you're really going to, you know, garner much attention from. I mean, let's just be honest about that. And, you know, somebody more like Adam Kokesh, who's planning on running 2020, he can carry the radical message a lot better. He's a very well polished speaker. You know, he can be clean cut and, you know, he doesn't wear the same jacket and shirt. And, you know, well, I mean, he is, I guess, for this one thing, but it's like a kind of the look he's going for, like the funeral a person, black, you know, black suit and white shirt and whatnot. But you know, he's more polished. He's more he can be more presidential looking, and he can speak.
It is made a little bit more interesting by the fact that Daryl was just elected as chair of the New Hampshire party.
Yeah.
And he's running against the nominee.
Yeah, what that kind of seems like a conflict. You know, if you're going to be the leader of a state party for the Libertarian Party, and then you're going against, you know, that kind of seems like a conflict.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he disclosed it to the committee members in New Hampshire, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know if he did that or not?
I don't know. I mean, obviously they all know. And he was elected by the body, as Nick Sarwark said in his like really short press release that he actually did, or I don't even know if there's a press release. It's like a Facebook post, but he said, you know, we can't do anything as the LNC for the state parties. They're autonomous. Daryl was actually running his own party, which I hadn't realized, the New Hampshire Liberty Party.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And they want like New Hampshire to submit and all this stuff. I think the LP in New Hampshire is going to take that up now. But do you think, Daryl? I mean, whatever.
Yeah, it's you know, I mean, Evan McMullen's going to have a bigger impact, obviously, and nobody's even heard of him, you know. So
that's true.
I don't really understand what's his end game on this. Like, what is he just trying to get attention, or is he sour that he lost, or I don't know. It's just I don't really see anything beneficial coming from this. Any other thoughts on this? All right. Well, let's move on to see if anybody has an Aleppo moment. Let's see if you can name your favorite foreign leader. Andy?
Maybe the former president of Mexico.
Which one?
I kind of, you know, nobody's good that's in power, obviously. And it is a dangerous thing to, like, tie yourself to somebody. I'd be interested if you guys have anybody. But the point is that you don't have to answer the question, or if there is nobody, say that there is nobody instead of trying to play their game. Yeah. You know what I mean? You got to turn the question.
Corey, you got a favorite foreign leader? Come on.
Second, I don't have a favorite foreign leader, and I didn't see the snafu on television, but I mean, I think one of the things that I respect about leadership in the Libertarian Party, I think originally when I saw Rob Sarvis, they asked him a question, and he was just honest and said, hey, I don't know the answer, then you can contact me in the future. So I didn't really see what the big deal was.
We're losing Corey again.
I kind of feel like, especially this election cycle, that a lot of people are making a
Hey, Corey, we keep having a connection issue. You might want to switch just the audio. Hey, Joshua, go ahead.
Well,
Who's your favorite?
the first thing that came to
I
mind.
bet you have one. I bet you have
Yeah,
one.
I mean, the first thing that came to mind was someone I've actually met, that being Margaret Thatcher. But of course, she's dead, so I don't know if she would count any longer.
Oh, it's got to be a living one.
Yeah. Someone I've been reading about lately who I actually have a good deal of admiration for is King Michael of Romania. He's no longer in power, but he was king during World War II. He's actually still alive, believe it or not. And how he had to lead his country against both the Nazis and the Soviets afterward was actually quite impressive, I would say.
Yeah, I knew you were going to answer that, but with most libertarians, I really like what Gary Johnson did say afterwards. During the moment, it kind of looked like he didn't know what he was talking about. It was kind of a snafu or whatever, but he did come back later and say that if I pick somebody that I like or that I admire, then I'm going to be tied to them. I'm going to have to defend them on things I may not have known about or may come up later. And so I thought that was a very smart move. Of course, that didn't gain any traction. Only him supposedly not knowing any foreign leader. That's, if you read the headlines, you know any foreign leader. Even, some of my family members, like, they're talking about like Gary Johnson didn't know any foreign leader. He couldn't name any. It's sad how spin stuff, take stuff out of context, and people listen to it, and that's what they think of when they think of Gary Johnson, is that he didn't know a foreign leader. And then, of course, you had the Aleppo moment that, it's just, I think that was a little bit more. That was a little bit more. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just don't say that. This is validating every criticism that people have brought up.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I think, of course, I actually had a job interview one time where someone asked who my favorite U.S. president was. And I said it was a far easier to tell them who I thought were some of the worst U.S. presidents. And perhaps he should have turned the question around like that and said, well, hey, this particular dictator or someone is, just absolutely dreadful, and, we should aspire not to do anything like is done in his or her country. Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can play it that would have gone a lot better than that did.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some inter-party stuff. Andy, you want to talk about the secret contract saga?
Yeah, I mean, we touched on that a couple of weeks ago. It's been an ongoing thing. The LNC and the Johnson-Weld campaign negotiating, and basically, on the one hand, the Johnson-Weld campaign wants more parties to their joint fundraising. Each state party and also the LNC that they sign on, it basically lets each of their donors have a bigger maximum. They can give more money to the Johnson-Weld campaign. On the other side, the LP wants the data. They want the donor list, the inquiry list. This is how political parties are run and campaigns are run. That's really the most valuable asset that a campaign has. So a couple of weeks ago, it just came out that they signed a contract, but it had a secrecy clause forever. Nobody could ever see it. And Harlos, this is true stuff. And Harlos brings emotions. And Dr. Lark tells me, he's like, I don't think they can enforce a non-disclosure agreement against us. Turns out they won't have to. Starmark added in an exhibit that says the term of secrecy is 1 year, which is, longer than I think most of us would hope, but at least get to see it.
It's better than forever, right?
That's just crazy.
So is everything signed? Both parties, LP and the Johnson-Weld campaign, signed it, or
that's my understanding. Yeah. And we had something come out from Chuck Moulton, I guess, that data sharing is happening. I don't know when we're going to get the list or anything like that, but so that's good.
I don't
It's
know.
a little
Is this like
October.
late? A little late? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's a little late in the game. They finally get this resolved because I mean we have what 4 weeks from today, right? 4 weeks.
Okay, it's crazy. And major parties, it's just like it's just assumed. Like you just get plugged into the database, and you put your stuff in there, and it's there for the other campaigns. We have to go through this dance every single year. That's the like bylaws question. Would you guys support a requirement that each presidential campaign going into the convention had to sign a contract beforehand?
I think that's reasonable.
What do you think, Josh? Your thoughts?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I've heard about this issue, but I don't really have. I haven't thought about it, to be honest with you. I mean, I'd like to. I think transparency is a good thing, because of course, you have all these secret negotiations behind the scenes. I mean, once you can do that behind the scenes, but it should be revealed once it's out there. I mean, of course, being a historian, I look at World War One, and of course, there are all these countries that had secret treaties with others, and to give away some parcel of land to another, and it's like, hey, if people were just a lot more open about this, I don't know, perhaps some of these conflicts could be avoided. And I think the same could apply to this. I mean, why? What's the need of all this secrecy? Like, what does it accomplish? Are they, doing something that the rank and file folks would find abhorrent? And if not, why be secretive about it? So it doesn't leave a good taste in one's mouth, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit on it. It just seems weird, and I guess we'll find out when the contract comes out. I guess the criticism to that line of thinking that you would require something is that gives the LNC a whole lot of power, and they could towards one candidate or another, or towards one type of candidate or another. They're going to be talking about that. I mean, we know that coming out of here.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's move on to the debates. First, let's talk about the vice presidential debate. Of course, Bill Weld was not a participant of that. I was hoping to get down to Farmville. It just didn't happen that day. I got busy. I went to college just outside of Farmville, so I was hoping to go down there and join the protests and whatnot. Did any of y'all make it down there?
No.
Yeah, I didn't get down there. I think we had a decent crowd of Virginia libertarians, and they got on TV. That was cool. They
I saw that. I saw that. Did either of y'all watch the debate?
Yeah.
Actually, interestingly enough, I actually got invited to go watch it with the Stanton Republicans. And when I was just going down to Stanton, I got into a bit of traffic, and one of my friends said, "Oh, come watch it with me instead." So I actually ended up with the Harrisonburg Republicans. They don't like me much, unfortunately. And yeah, I started watching it, and I have to tell you, it was absolutely awful. I mean, just dreadful. I mean, Tim Kaine started off being very rude, being very interruptive, and the moderator just let it go on, and then Mike Pence just started doing the same, and there's so little substance going on in the actual discussion. I just thought, I left after 45 minutes, and I was glad I did. I wish I left earlier because it was just awful.
I turned it off. I turned it off after about 45 minutes or so too. Mike Pence was, had good manners at the beginning, and Kaine was interrupting, being whatever, aggressive, and then it just both of them started doing it. And it's just like, oh my God, I just like to listen to some substance. But I guess this is what you assume is going to happen when you do turn on these presidential debates. You don't actually get any substance. It's just a circus.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Mike Pence, I mean, I guess he sort of sounded like a normal Republican. There's some people saying like This is what you
Well, sure,
missed.
compared to Trump.
This is much.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, well,
oh,
Go ahead.
well, he had to pretty much take up for Trump. Trump said this, and I don't believe Trump said that exactly. Like, no, actually, this is exactly the excerpt that he said. And so, I don't agree with him politically and whatnot, but you have to feel bad for him. He's got a mop up duty, after Donald Trump all the time.
But it's not like he's not getting anything from this. He's raising his profile and setting himself up for 2020.
Yeah, but it might also end his political career. If possibly, if this train completely derails, it could possibly just completely end his political career. Not that I'm crying over it, but I'm just saying, like, it could be derailed. I mean, you think about it. WikiLeaks said that they're going to be releasing something about Hillary Clinton like once a week from here on out. And then, of course, probably something about Donald Trump's going to surface up and they're going to counteract. So probably going to be the situation every week from here on out till the election day. It's just a complete circus.
Yeah, I mean, did you guys notice the confluence in timing where the Trump tapes came out at the same time as the Hillary speeches? Like, I'm not sure who was first. I think probably the Trump tapes came out a little bit before, but, were they coordinating? Did they know it was happening? Did one happen first? Were they waiting? Interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like not Hillary herself, but her operatives or people that are working with her. They knew that stuff was going to be dropping, and so they're just waiting, or they wanted to go ahead and preempt the release of her emails and whatnot, and just to cover it. And the thing is that it did kind of cover it. All you could talk about is Trump. Nobody talked about or not as much. People talked about the Hillary Clinton Podesto emails, which showed excerpts of her, speeches at Goldman Sachs and such, where she has a private and a public, position. I mean, that's just exactly what everybody has said, that she goes to these places and you look at her donors, she obviously favors, Wall Street and the big banks, and that she has different views than what she actually puts on for the public.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how crazy was that response to the debate where she's talking about, I was talking about Abraham Lincoln. It's okay.
Yeah, what was that? I was like, I got so lost. Like, what?
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 Trump spun it pretty good.
Yeah, he did. Well, so let's get into the presidential debate. I thought it was just going to be Trump was going to be in free fall. I thought he was just going to be in free fall. It was going to be a complete disaster. But I thought he actually held his own. He actually came back punching. At first, he looked like he was just going to take it and it was just going to be horrible. But then Trump became Trump, and he started just really railing her with, I'm sorry, probably a bad word, the Hillary Clinton. But he started going after her. I couldn't believe that he brought the women who accused Bill Clinton of rape and whatnot into the room.
Did you see? So they were gonna sit in the family box, and they were gonna, like, on live TV. This is Steve Bannon is gonna run these four women out to confront Bill Clinton before the debate, and the commission hears about this. Like, it's not happening. They're sitting in the audience. If you try and put them in the family box, they're gonna get arrested. And apparently Bannon still wants to sit him up there and have a thing, but
I just couldn't believe it though. Have you seen the meme of Bill Clinton where he's like, looking over?
Yes.
No, it was just a complete circus. I've never seen anything like it. Definitely in terms of presidential debate, it was just mudslinging. I thought Donald Trump was going to just falter, but I thought he got Hillary Clinton in some spots, with the emails and other things. And then her Abraham Lincoln response, I was like, what are you talking about?
And of course, the one line that people remember, Hillary says, well, isn't it great that we don't have somebody with the temperament of Donald Trump controlling the laws in this country? Because you'd be in jail.
Oh, yeah, no. God.
So, a lot of times the winner just gets that one line, and I think that was the one line they come out of.
That's the one. Yeah, presidential debates, a lot of one-liners, and that's the one line. Of course, it can appeal to some people, because they think that she got away with stuff. But at the same time, it kind of goes into his political opponents and such, where he would be using his power for bad. Sort of like with Amazon and Washington Post talking about essentially putting down the free speech of the newspapers, then also taxing Amazon out of existence. It just kind of plays into what's kind of feared about him, being essentially a fascist and using that executive power as much as he can, and to rile up the populace, to back him.
Yeah, and I think you're quite right there. I mean, sure. Do we think that Hillary Clinton, or do I think Hillary Clinton got away with something? Probably. But the idea that we elect sort of a strong man, if you will, who puts everyone we don't like into jail. I mean, people deserve due process, whether you think they're guilty or not. I mean, that's part of the system. And the idea of, we elect Donald Trump and Hillary's going to jail. I mean, there are some people who believe that if Donald Trump becomes president, they're going to go and lock up Hillary. And I think the idea of just putting her in jail because she lost the election, in a way, there's something terribly wrong with that. I mean, it's like, our constitutional republic doesn't mean squat anymore.
It's sort of like the Alien Sedition Act,
Yeah, I mean, he did. So he made that statement. It's not good, and it's very Trump. But he did. I mean, he said that there was going to be a special prosecutor.
He said that there would be a due process, special prosecutor. So it's not like he's, I guess, saying she's going to jail definitely, but but still, it's kind of feeds into what a lot of people's fears are with him. It just what type of a special prosecutor would it be? Kind of about, I don't know. It still kind of feeds into that fear of what Donald Trump would be. So, what was I going to say? So let's talk about the tapes. We haven't talked about the tapes. We kind of briefly talked about them, but what I'm seeing a lot is people are taking up for Donald and saying that it's just locker room talk. And he even said it during the debate. And I think that it's anything but locker room talk. That I've never talked about, and I don't know of any other guy that I've heard talk about bragging about sexual assault. That's what he talked about, sexual assault. Taking advantage of his celebrity to grope women, to kiss them, to grope them. Yeah. And that's what he talked about. That's sexual assault. It's not talking about, about her body parts and how, whatever. He talked about actually doing an action of sexual assault. And I don't understand these people that are defending him, why, they don't see that this is, they say it's just words. Well, he talks about actions that he's taken, and it's completely different.
Well, I think the issue is we've gotten to a point where there are some people who are so afraid of a Clinton presidency that pretty much they'll do whatever it takes to stand by Donald Trump. I mean, I think the accusations and future tapes and all that is just going to get worse against Trump, and yet they will steadfastly stand by him, because, of course, they're so afraid of what they think Clinton will do. So, yeah, I mean, I don't, of course, I haven't committed sexual assault. If I did, I wouldn't be joking about it. At least, I guess, I don't know. I mean, haven't been in that situation. But, it seems like there's something fundamentally wrong here. I mean, these same people who condemned Bill Clinton back in the 90s, are sticking up for a man who, exact same thing, but he's a Republican. He's one of our, scumbags as opposed to one of their scumbags. And somehow that makes it okay, and it just blows my mind.
I like to point out, though, during that tape that year, he was a Democrat, though, right? So
well, he was. Absolutely. But especially, leaders of church faith communities, saying, "Oh, well, that's okay." I mean, holy smokes, that's if my pastor got up and said, Donald Trump, it's okay if we grab him, by what he says, serious concerns going back to my church if my pastor did that. Now, of course, I know my pastor, and she won't be saying anything like that, especially considering she's a she. But yeah, it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy.
Andy?
Yeah. I mean, it's been covered pretty thoroughly. And now as men, we have to, stand up and say, actually, this is not what happens in the locker room. Like maybe the first part where he's talking about how beautiful this woman is and trying to have sex with, even trying to have sex with a married woman. Maybe this is normal stuff, but then it's sexual assault that comes afterward, and that's unacceptable. And really, he's unacceptable. I think it's all about partisanship. One of you guys mentioned that apparently there are like much worse tapes, especially from the set of The Apprentice.
Right. Yeah, I heard the producer wants to release that, but I don't know if he's going to be able to because I guess Mark Burnett, has the rights to it.
Yeah. So that stuff usually comes out like maybe Putin will hack it. It's always
blame Russia.
Or maybe Donald Trump, like 400-pound hacker in his bedroom. That's what he said. So, no, I mean, it's awful. And so we're gonna have 4 weeks of this against 4 weeks of email leaks, which some of those are quite bad. Also, I don't. These are both of these people appear to have committed felonies. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's I wrote. Thank you, Andy, for editing it. I wrote an op-ed that I sent off, and it's got published at Augusta Free Press. Hopefully, probably won't be the news leader, but maybe the News Virginian about that. Putting down or that we need to vote against both evils. Like they're both horrible people, but people get so caught up on this left versus right, red versus blue, that they will do anything to not have Hillary elected or Donald Trump elected. And just like Donald Trump said earlier in his campaign, somebody on Fifth or Madison or whatever it was, and he still could get, still wouldn't lose any supporters. And so he's not going to lose any supporters from this sexual assault that he, the videos or any other videos that's going to come out. It's just that maybe independents will be able to sway one way or the other, or hopefully come to us, and come to the Libertarian Party and make Gary Johnson even more of a viable option. And hopefully, who knows if he can get into the third election or third debate, or if possible, maybe even win a couple states. I know Utah, they have a huge Mormon population, and a lot of their elected officials, like their governor and some other senators or representatives, have come out and have, withdrawn their support for Donald Trump. So that's a state that really looks good. New Mexico, of course, and some other Western states.
Seems like there's been a lot of people pulling their support lately.
Yeah, I think it was like 60 elected Republicans pull their support from Donald Trump. But definitely like the Utah Republicans are leading the way. They're some of the first people to actually publicly do that.
And college Republicans.
Yeah, college Republicans, the millennials, which definitely sway more towards Gary Johnson, which I think he picked up the New Mexico College Republicans, and the UVA Republicans rescinded their support for Donald Trump. So more and more things are happening. We'll see if it matters. Hopefully it does. Do you think that all this mudslinging and dragging through the mud, do you think this is going to benefit Gary Johnson?
It's hard to tell. You would hope so. You would hope it looks like 2013, but the concern is either that people get polarized and go both ways, or that they just drop out of the system entirely. So it's hard to tell. You certainly don't expect the kind of voting returns for a third-party candidate to match polling going into election day. That just doesn't happen. So hopefully it's a bigger percentage of that 7.4 than a smaller one.
Come on, Andy, you gotta be an optimist. You gotta be positive. We're going to win this election. No. Well, I'm optimistic. I'm hoping that this mudslinging and this dragging through the mud, this circus, I hope that people it might make people apathetic and not even go out. It could polarize people where they're going to just dig in even more. But I'm hoping that people actually look into the options that they do have, and hopefully that does benefit, obviously, Gary Johnson, which will benefit our down tickets and everything else in between. If we can get 10% in Virginia, that's huge. 5% in Washington and other states, and I imagine there's dozens of states where they can get major party status if he does 5 or 10%. So, of course, we'd like to see it, him win, but we're obviously not delusional. But hopefully 5, 10%, 10% preferably for us in Virginia. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Well, Bill Weld. There's a report that Bill Weld was going to drop out and focus solely on Trump. Of course, he came out and denied that and said that he's in it for the long haul. He's got his libertarian hat firmly on. I wish I could get one of those libertarian hats. I don't know where you get them. I guess Bill Weld, original libertarian hat. So what did y'all think of this? Do y'all think it's just something that was taken out of context, or do you think that the media is really trying to essentially take it, or what?
Yeah. No, I would say so. I'd say that they're, just trying to discredit the Johnson campaign however possible. Now, in full disclosure, I'm not very much of a Weld fan, but I think that they are, just trying to make something out of nothing here. And of course, right after these Trump tapes, I saw a few articles that said, well, Mike Pence is going to drop out.
Yeah.
So, so it's sort of funny to see the shoe on the other foot, if you will. Because unless he actually does, it's all just speculation. So, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty much a non-story that people are trying to, in my opinion, stir up to, discredit the ticket.
Yeah, I don't think he was ever going to drop out. I don't think any of his statements led to that conclusion. It's, these things have legs because they confirm people's pre-existing biases about him. And he's buds with Hillary, and maybe there's a little bit. It seems like there's some unhappiness with some of his people, and maybe that's really the story, that some of his people feel the need to go to the media. There were little tidbits about Weld people fighting with Johnson people, and you just don't know. I mean, it's the Boston Globe and the New Yorker. These aren't small papers. But the other part of this was about him leaving after this and going to the GOP and rebuilding things with Haley Barbour and Mitt Romney. So, and that just, plays into people's biases also. They are polling him for that 2018 Senate seat against Elizabeth Warren. And he seems to be doing pretty well. I don't know who else. There's Kurt Schilling and somebody I'd never heard of.
Kurt Schilling.
Kurt Schilling's done if Trump doesn't do well.
Yeah. Do you think that Bill Weld is going to stay with the party long term, and do you think he would run for Senate?
Oh, I don't think he's running as a libertarian.
Oh yeah.
I think he's either retiring or going back to the field.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of politicians sort of pull a Bob Barr, if you will. Of course, Bob Barr was the 2008 Libertarian candidate for president, former Republican representative, and then as soon as the election was over, he went back to the Republican Party. I have to say, it's somewhat impressive that Gary Johnson didn't do that. I'm not saying, not to try to besmirch his character at all, but, because it is a trend. I would consider it far more likely with William Weld.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're unhappy with these two candidates, you can always write in Daryl Perry. So we have that option.
Not in Virginia.
What, can we not write in? Yeah, we can write in. Can't we?
So I think Virginia, sort of. I think you're supposed to give them or it's like you can write him in, but they won't count him because he didn't put in the Declaration of Writing candidacy, or he doesn't have electors or something like that.
So you're saying all these years I've written in my name, they have not counted it.
Yeah, so this is something we're dealing with in the 8th district up here and Josh, you might know about Mike Webb. Actually, everybody should know about Mike Webb because this is the guy who had shared a screenshot of his computer onto his Facebook page. And it's got tabs on the top. And over here on the left are 2 tabs with porn videos on it.
Really?
Yeah,
what party is he with?
He lost the Republican nomination for the 8th district congressional seat. He's running a right-in and right-wing campaign. So we're telling people, whatever you do, whether or not you're happy with either of the candidates, either of the 3 candidates on your ballot for Congress, there is no libertarian on the ballot. Just don't write in because we don't want them to count Mike Webb's votes.
I was not aware of that.
Just skip them. You don't want to vote there.
Oh, man. Well, speaking of write-in, Evan McMullen names Mindy Finn, whoever the hell that is, as their vice presidential candidate 1 month outside of the election. Of course, somehow he got on the Virginia ballot. He didn't get on the Tennessee ballot, which only required, 125 signatures, but he got on Virginia, which required 5,000 plus, 300 in each congressional district and whatnot. I don't know how he pulled that off. I'm sorry, what?
I think it's 200 in each congressional district, but
still, same thing. More in each congressional district than in Tennessee all combined. And somehow he did that, but not Tennessee. Anyway, so who's this Mindy Finn? Does anybody know?
Nope.
So she's 35. 35. She's on the Hill somewhere. I don't know if she was in somebody's office, if she was a Republican staffer like McMullen, or if she was on K Street or what. She's Jewish. So she's kind of in this slighted neocon Israel hawk wing that Evan wants anyway.
So he's checking off all the check boxes, right? He's just
pretty much. It seems
everything but name recognition.
That's one thing that Bill Weld had a little bit of.
Yeah.
Who knows? It seems like the two of them being McMullen and Finn are kind of looking past the election, and they're going to do something else too. It's not going to end on November 8th.
Well, do you think he's going to get anything in Virginia? 1%? Anything?
In Virginia, probably not.
Yeah,
I think probably be us too.
I would say 0.5% tops, personally. And even that I think is generous to him. Unless, of course, Trump has a complete meltdown and, like the RNC says, screw it, go vote for this McMullen guy. Short of that, anything can happen, but it seems very unlikely.
Well, does the GOP have laws or bylaws that allow for them, in emergency situations other than death and the usual? Can they switch candidates? Can they get somebody else other than Trump? I heard some stuff speculating about that, but do you know if they really have any bylaws that would allow that or not?
Well, one thing is, of course, a lot of these states with their paper ballots, they're already printed. So they can't, they're not going to go and reprint these things. I don't claim to know too much about this, from what I've read, it would actually Trump would have to actually resign himself. I don't think they could actually replace him unless he ends up dying or something like that, or completely incapacitated. Short of that,
I mean, he is going against Hillary Clinton, so you know what happened.
well, sure, yes, but he's helping Hillary Clinton, if you ask me. So
Yeah.
she won't do anything. No, of course, back in the election of 1876, I think it was, one of the candidates actually died. That was the election of Grant, and his main opponent was Horace Greeley. He was a liberal Republican running against a Republican. And after the popular vote was cast, but before the electors actually cast their votes, this fellow died. And Congress actually said that you couldn't vote, the Electoral College couldn't vote for somebody who was dead. So, his votes went elsewhere. But, I mean, that was the only time something like that's happened.
That happened a couple of years ago in the Senate seat in Missouri. And I forget who won and who took the seat, but John Ashcroft lost.
Yeah, it was what happened, apparently, the Democratic candidate dying was the best thing for his campaign in terms of poll numbers. I mean, that sounds crass. But, he ended up winning that seat. And I believe the governor appointed, to fill out the remainder of the term. Or until a special election can be held.
Oh, yeah, that's probably what they did.
All right, guys. One last thing before we leave. We did foreign leader. How about we do president? Name your favorite president. Josh, you kind of alluded to this earlier, so I want you to name your favorite president, and I'll end it.
I don't know if I'd say Calvin Coolidge or Grover Cleveland. There's a Republican and a Democrat for you. But probably one of those.
Andy?
Well, I live in Alexandria, Virginia. So it's hard not to choose General Washington. That's definitely one thing, moving east and south, learning much more to appreciate Washington and not to appreciate Lincoln.
All right, guys. I got the best president. Henry Harrison. He went to my college. Hampton City.
Yeah.
He's a big war hero. Got into office. Had the longest inaugural speech. Didn't wear a jacket.
Yeah.
Got pneumonia, and died within about 30 days.
Yeah.
He did nothing as president. Therefore, he is the best president ever elected.
There you go.
All right, guys. Anything else? Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Anything else y'all want to say?
I don't think so. Good to be back.
Yep.
All right. Well, on that bombshell, see y'all in 2 weeks, and then election in 4 weeks.
Wow.
Sounds good.